If humans were 20 millimeters tall, our world would appear vastly different, and we would face challenges such as vulnerability to the elements, the need for new technologies and tools, new methods for communication, coexisting with microscopic organisms, and developing new social structures to survive. On the other hand, if humans were 20 feet tall, the world would appear smaller, and we would face challenges such as our size impacting our ability to move, breathe, and interact with objects, and the need to adjust our technology and infrastructure to accommodate our size, and the possibility of requiring more resources and energy to survive. In this video we will dive into these possibilities. If humans were 20 feet tall, the world as we know it would look very different. Let's explore some of the hypothetical changes that might occur. Firstly, our bodies would have to adapt to the increased size and weight. Our bones and muscles would need to be stronger and more durable to support our larger frames. Our hearts would also have to work harder to pump blood throughout our bodies, and we may be at a higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Secondly, everyday activities would be significantly impacted. Simple tasks like walking, sitting, and standing would require more energy and effort. We may need larger furniture and transportation, and buildings would have to be redesigned to accommodate our increased size. Our diet would also need to change to support our larger bodies, and we would require more food and water to sustain ourselves. Furthermore, our interactions with other living beings would be altered. Animals and plants would appear much smaller to us, and we may have to be careful not to accidentally harm them. We may also need to find new ways to coexist with the environment, as our impact on the natural world would be much greater. In conclusion, if humans were 20 feet tall, our bodies, lifestyles, and interactions with the world would be vastly different from what we are used to. While it may be interesting to imagine, it is unlikely to ever become a reality. If humans were 20 feet tall, the implications would be far-reaching and complex. One of the biggest changes would be the need for stronger bones and muscles to support our larger frames. Our bodies would also require more energy to move around, leading to a higher metabolism and potentially a need for a different diet. We would also have a much larger surface area, which would make regulating our body temperature a challenge. In addition to physical changes, there would be significant impacts on our daily lives. Simple tasks like getting dressed, using the bathroom, and even finding suitable housing would all become more challenging. We would need custom-made clothing and furniture to fit our size, and buildings would have to be redesigned to accommodate our height. Transportation would also be a challenge, as we would need larger vehicles and infrastructure. The impact on our interactions with other living beings would also be significant. Our increased size would make it difficult to navigate our environment without damaging it. We may need to develop new technologies and tools to safely interact with the natural world. We may also have to be mindful of our impact on other creatures, as we would be much larger and potentially more dangerous. Another potential impact of being 20 feet tall is the effect on our social structures. We would be a minority in a world designed for smaller beings, which may lead to social isolation and discrimination. Our size may also lead to changes in our social dynamics and relationships. Overall, the hypothetical scenario of humans being 20 feet tall highlights the complexity and interconnectedness of our world. While it may be fun to imagine, it is unlikely to ever become a reality. However, it is interesting to consider the implications and challenges of such a dramatic change. If humans were 20 millimeters tall, the implications would be equally far-reaching and complex, but in a very different way. Our entire world would appear vastly different, as we would be living amongst microscopic organisms and objects. We would need to completely rethink our understanding of size and scale, and how we interact with the world around us. One of the biggest challenges would be our ability to survive in this new environment. We would be incredibly small and vulnerable to the elements, requiring protection from even the smallest gust of wind or drop of water. We would need to develop new technologies and tools to navigate our new world, as well as new methods for gathering food and resources. Communication would also be a challenge, as sound and light waves would be much larger than us, and it may be difficult to hear or see one another. We would need to develop new forms of communication, potentially using vibrations or chemical signals. Our interactions with other living beings would also be vastly different, as we would be living amongst microscopic organisms that currently go unnoticed. We may need to learn to coexist with these creatures, and even potentially utilize them for our own survival. In addition, our impact on the environment would be much smaller, as we would have a much smaller footprint. Social structures may also be different, as our size would impact the way we form communities and interact with one another. We may need to develop new forms of social organization and cooperation to survive in this new world. Overall, the hypothetical scenario of humans being 20 millimeters tall highlights the incredible complexity and interconnectedness of our world, and how even a small change can have significant impacts. While it is unlikely to ever become a reality, it is fascinating to consider the implications and challenges of such a dramatic change. In conclusion, contemplating hypothetical scenarios such as what would happen if humans were 20 feet tall or 20 millimeters tall can expand our understanding of the world around us and challenge us to think creatively about how we might adapt and survive in different environments. Although these scenarios may seem far-fetched and unlikely to happen, exploring these hypotheticals can help us appreciate the complexity of our world and inspire us to think beyond our current limitations. Comment, subscribe and like this video.